Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the RoadMap podcast. Very special guest today. We've got Cam Jones and Halee Bell joining us today. The power couple. You guys are going to be hearing about them really shortly. Thanks for coming on today, guys.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yep, and you were definitely expecting this, right? This was absolutely planned.
Yep.
Caught no one by surprise whatsoever.
Not at all.
Absolutely awesome. I'm excited to have you guys here. You guys have been really crushing it lately. Hoping to get a little bit about your story today and some lessons learned in this business. We all learn very similar lessons, but they feel very personal, right? Because it's how they affect us, how they affect our lives, and a lot of times we've never learned those type of lessons before. So that's what I'm hoping to get from you guys today. I think it can help a lot of people out there and hopefully help you guys as you're looking to grow a business together as well. So I'm excited to get into it. Cam, we'll start with you, man. Okay. If you could introduce yourself to the crowd here. Obviously, you're up and coming here in Family First. So if you can give a 2-3 minute introduction, a little bit about your background, how you were raised, what you were doing before you found FFL.
Absolutely. So my name's Cameron from small town Lancaster, Ohio. Straight out of high school, I started a landscaping company that was really, I thought was going to be kind of my end-all, do-all. Kind of just continue to grow that until I kind of could step back. And very quickly I realized it's going to take a lot more time than what I had prepared for. Within the first couple of years, I did super well, blew up very quickly, but it was kind of one of those things. Everything trickled downhill to me every single day, day in and day out, working with employees, clients, making sure all the materials, all the equipment, trucks, that sort of thing, everything's in order. And it just became a lot. And year after year, I enjoyed it still. I loved being able to be personal with people and be able to get to people's homes and see everything that they've created. But it's like, then again, everything trickles downhill to me. So it became a lot, and I was in the business for 4 years. And as I said, it's been great. Halee and I were able to get a house because of it and just continue to grow ourselves. But it was just, I don't know, it got to a point where I really didn't think it was going to be something that I could continue. Just in that industry, it's such a high turnover rate of employees. And I just went through several rough people that just weren't real reliable. And that's one thing I struggled with from the beginning of it. And I knew that was always going to be a problem moving forward. And thankfully, Family First Life came in to my life, actually through Halee originally, through my brother Drew. And I remember Drew, he'd come home. I wasn't living at home at the time, but he would always tell me about how he was doing within Family First. And it was kind of one of those things, it was just kind of hard to believe. And I kinda,
very hard to believe.
I kind of sat back and was like, I just kind of watched. And it took Halee to kind of get involved, and I sat with her through all the kind of the initiation stuff and all the Zoom calls and everything she was turning into, because I knew a lot of those guys just through Drew. So I was always on those Zooms with her, seeing what everybody was doing, and each and every night, instead of watching TV, we'd be jumping on those Zoom calls to watch everybody present. And that went on for probably a week or so, and I'm like, man, it's coming into winter time, my slow season for landscaping, like, I'm going to figure this thing out. And I gave myself that time period to kind of get licensed and get into it. And that's kind of how I got here.
Love it, man. Awesome. So now, Halee, we got to jump over to you because you were a big part of that story. So let's get into that a little bit. You didn't do landscaping.
No.
But you were pursuing another very popular, very proven career path.
Right.
So tell us a little bit about why you got into that, your time there, kind of help everyone get to know you a little bit.
Right. So right out of high school, I think everyone, they say they were supposed to go to college. So I went to college, and it was like right during COVID. And I did a semester online, moved down away from home. And then I was like, you know what, this isn't for me. So I ended up only doing one semester. I dropped out. And then like 2 months later, I enrolled into dental assisting. So I went to school for that. About 2 weeks into school, I did a job shadow, and then I got hired that day. And then I worked there for 2 years or so. But I was just doing orthodontics, doing a
big money there.
Right. Yeah. It was good.
Eventually.
One of the big reasons why I decided to just like go straight into the career force was I was very fortunate to have a mom who she took very well care of me, but I just didn't want to depend on her anymore. I really just wanted to step out there and be an adult. So with that, I was able to do so. I saved my money while I was living at home, and then, like Cam said, we bought our house. I just tried to independent myself a little bit. But
100%. That's interesting because I think a lot of people, I know a little bit about how you were raised and raised very well, loving family and stuff, and were cared for, like you said. I think a lot of people, if they have everything they need and are given all that, it would be tough for them to want to leave that.
Right.
But you were saying that you wanted that independence.
Right.
Have you ever thought about what or why you wanted that independence, or what sparked that? Because you were comfortable.
Right. I was very comfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, my mom, she has been such a hard worker. She works 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. And I guess, like, growing up, you don't really, as a kid, you don't appreciate it as much. And then you start to grow up and you really realize, like, wow, my mom works so hard. And, like, she still works hard. And it's just like, I don't know. I wanted to retire. I wanted to retire at some point. So I was like, you know what, I need to get off of this and figure it out myself.
I love that. Yeah, it's really cool that she set the tone for you, and big shoes to fill, so to speak. And now you've saw that opportunity to do it. But you had to be skeptical about this when you heard about it, right? Or did you kind of see it and see, like, okay, makes sense?
I wasn't really that skeptical. And it was like, the annoying part was, like, all my family and friends, they were like, what's the catch? Like, what's the catch?
Yeah.
I'm like, there is no catch, but there is a catch.
Yes.
You have to work hard.
Yeah.
So I personally,
That's a big catch, isn't it?
That is the
We've
catch.
all ran smack into that catch at some point.
Yeah. But I personally, I didn't really see, like, I wasn't skeptical at all, I guess. I don't think I was.
You were open-minded to it.
I was open-minded because, like,
shot.
in my situation that I was in before, it had to have been better than that. You know? And so I ended up, I took the leap of faith. In December, I put my 2 weeks in, not even knowing if I would make money. I hadn't even sold my first policy at that point, but I was like, you know what?
Let's do it.
Right.
That's interesting, because I think a lot of people can relate to where you were at that time. How could it be any worse than where I was at? Right. So what was it like where you were at then? Speak to those people, because I think a lot of people will perk up and be like, oh, wait, I'm there right now.
Right. Hopefully my boss doesn't see this, or my old boss.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it wasn't bad. Like, I was working in dental. It just, sometimes it felt like I was doing so much work for someone and not even reaping, like, what I could do if I worked for myself. Like, there would be days that I would go home bawling my eyes out, like, I've been yelled at, or, like, patients. It's, Yeah. Yeah.
And you're not getting paid what it feels like should be required to deal with that kind of stuff. And that's tough to deal with, because, kind of like Cam was saying, there's no out. Or there is, but it's just decades down the road, which might as well be non-existent at that point. Right. And that's a tough pill to swallow. That's a tough ladder to look at and be like, all right, guess I got to start climbing. And a lot of respect to the people that do and make that work. Like you were mentioning your mom, who has worked really hard for decades and decades consistently. And so that's a lot of work. I have a lot of respect for those people, because then we come here, we figure out how much work this is, and it's like, oh, I don't want to go to work next week. I worked hard last week. Right. And we look at people like our parents or like others that have come before us, and it's like, man, they've worked hard for decades. I can do this. Right. I can sit on the phone and get yelled at a little bit more, right? I love it. Awesome. So thanks for bringing us. So now we're kind of at the point in your guys' career where you're both in now. She got in, you saw it, you were more skeptical. So let's hear about that real briefly before we proceed. So she wasn't, but you were. Why were you skeptical?
I guess it was really just having my own business already. Sure. So, like, I saw the opportunities of being able to have your own business, that type of thing. Like, sure, I could create my own schedule, but within the industry I was in, I was basically following my client's schedule. Whatever they wanted, or they dictated what I was going to do. So from about middle of March to almost December, I couldn't do anything other than work. Like, vacations and stuff, sure, it's great, but, like, I really couldn't. That was my busy season, was the summertime, spring and summer. So it was like, I was able to do my own thing, but, like, I was so dictated by my clients.
With a big asterisk.
Yeah,
You're independent, you're self-employed, but you're kind of a slave to the clients, because you only have so much time to make money, so go make the money.
Exactly.
While the sun's shining.
Exactly, and it was nice. Like, yeah, don't get me wrong, it was great doing my own thing, but, like, just having the flexibility of this, like, we're here in Munster recording a podcast when I'm from Ohio, and I would never have been able to even travel or do anything like this.
It's April.
Yeah, right? And be able to
get out there.
come here for the day and be able to work and then do this when we can. Like, it's crazy to be able to just do something like that.
Yeah, it really is. It's really cool. It is getting towards that true freedom that people look for, to be able to pursue a career and do things you never thought you would be able to or want to do, right? But that uncomfortability causes so much growth.
Totally.
And every time you do it, you're glad you did it, right? like when you definitely are super excited about doing a surprise podcast, but go ahead and do it. It's like looking back, it's like, oh, okay, that wasn't that bad, and I'm glad I did it because now I've done it. Now I've grown, so that's huge. But I was talking to someone specifically about landscaping because I think this can apply to a lot of career paths or industries. It's safe.
Right.
It's proven.
And it really was, yeah.
Orthodontics. It's safe. It's proven. There's money there eventually, but everything has its own hurdles, right? For you, how in the world do you scale that thing? You can only do it if you find sharp people.
Right. And that's kind of what I started realizing.
Yeah.
More towards the end of my business, I was actually at a landscaping shop in town, a supply company, and every time I'd go in there, they're two owners. They've started this company since they were in high school, like massive operation, but they're now, I'd say, probably in their 40s, and every single day you go in there, they're both in there working. And to me, like, it really clicked. It took a couple times, and then I kind of sat back and was like, I don't want that to be me.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be able to, by that time, I want to be completely hands-off and not being able to just do what I wish at that point, and have such a successful business, like, you don't even have to worry about it anymore. And that really was a major turnoff that I'm like, I don't know, only 21 years old and just getting into this thing, and I have so much more to push forward and to be able to get to that point, which was really a hard point for me.
100%. Yeah. That's typical business ownership. You're a slave to the business until you can figure out how to break away and let it benefit you. But there's always something pulling you back every time you try to go forward. And by the look on your face, I think that's hitting pretty deep.
For real.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then with like orthodontics, it's like, yeah, eventually there's good money down the road.
Right.
So you got to put your time in, pay your dues, have your nights where you bawl your eyes out to your boyfriend because it just really sucks and you don't get paid what you're worth.
Right.
But what else do you do? And I feel like so many people are in some type of situation like that. But you guys got uncomfortable. Jumped in, turned in your 2 weeks notice.
Oh my goodness. I was so scared.
Yeah.
I was so scared.
Yeah. But it was like, hey, I know I'm going to go to work.
Right.
And all these other people are making it happen. So why not me? Right. And then you're like, fine, they're not in jail, so I guess it's not
working.
a scam. Might as well try it in my off season at least.
Right.
So now let's take the next step because I feel like both of you had some serious personal hurdles that you each had to get through. So hey, let's go to yours first. Right. There was a point in time, and I don't remember the exact time frame, so help me out on that. But there was a point in time where you had been in this for a little bit, and we were looking back. You had gone all in, but moments of doubt came. Speak to us a little bit about that and what happened there.
I definitely wouldn't say that I was thinking about quitting.
Okay.
Like, obviously, we are like, oh, I'm gonna quit. But I definitely wasn't thinking about quitting. But I mean, you definitely have days where you get told no and no and no after again, like again and again and again. And then you see, like, you start to compare yourself. Like, you see newer agents come in, and they're just, like, ripping it right off the start. Like Cam. Like, he's done great. You know, he's done very quickly. And it can just be hard to, like, compare yourself.
It's tough, isn't it?
It's very tough. And, I mean, I would still go home, and I would, like, a couple weeks ago, I was just on the phone crying to DJ. Like, I was just frustrated, and I'm an emotional person, so that's just how I let it out. But, I mean, I've had days where I cry, and then I get up the next morning and I do it again. I'm right back at it. I'm not giving up. It's just you have hard days and you just have to get past it.
Yeah. What keeps you getting past it? What keeps you moving forward? Have you thought about that?
Yeah. Honestly, the future. Like, I don't know. I just look at other people and you really realize where you don't want to be in life.
Yeah.
And I would rather just grind it out. Young, I'm 20 years old. I'd rather grind it out now and just set our lives up for success.
That's huge. And I was just talking about that delayed gratification type of mindset with someone earlier today. And that's really tough because that's not the culture we live in.
Right.
Right. And I feel like especially younger generations, 20s, coming into their 20s, it's I want to look great, I want to be great, I want to do great and get recognized as such right now. Right now. But that's never real. It's not the real thing. And so to be able to grind it out and get where you want to go just takes a lot of sacrifice and big goals. But it's really cool that you have that because I feel like it took me a while to do that. I was very in the moment. This isn't fun right now, so I don't want to go run that appointment.
Right.
I don't want to get
I mean, it doesn't mean that I don't feel like that sometimes.
Right.
Like, there's some times where I'd rather sit on my phone than dial. But
Yeah.
I know in the back of my head that if I don't dial, I ain't making money. So, I mean, you definitely have moments where you have to, like, fight that instant gratification. Like, we spoke at a convention, you know. But you have to
100%.
look forward to the future and hang on tight.
Absolutely. It's a
Right.
wild ride. Yeah,
It is.
absolutely. So what I love is I love every once in a while looking back at who I was 6 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
So we're in April 23 right now. Looking back at November, December of 22, what are some things that you feel you've grown in that this business has helped you with in just 6 months, which feels like 6 years, to be clear.
Right.
But what are some things that you feel like you've grown in?
I think definitely at that time I felt very stuck in my life. Like, I literally felt like I was stuck in molasses. Like, I wouldn't find anything like this, or I would be stuck doing my job that I was doing for who knows how long. But, you know, I just took the leap of faith, and I feel like that if I didn't, I would be very upset with myself. So I'm glad that I'm definitely trusting the process. I'm, you know, obviously still trying to boost my confidence in this area, but it's been a wild ride, and you learn so much about you really do learn so much about
It's
yourself.
crazy,
and
isn't it?
It is insane.
That is one of the most surprising parts of this business to me,
is.
how much it forces you to be a better human being.
Right.
It's very frustrating because you realize how
Yeah.
much you suck.
Right.
It's like, oh man, it's a really tough pill to swallow. But that's why I was asking this question, because I can think, you know, now being in it almost 3 years, it's like, holy cow. Who was I back then? I don't even recognize myself, and still so far to go too, but that's the encouraging part. You can look back, and that's why I think it's important to do that. Look back and see who you were and how far you've come, because that helps motivate you
Right.
to keep going. Oh man, who can I be in another 6 months? Next year. That's crazy.
Yeah, you really have to, like, nitpick yourself in the beginning. Like, I find myself, and I feel better, like, openly speaking about it. Like, yeah, I can be lazy, you know, sometimes I'm insecure, but, like, the more you nitpick yourself, the more you can figure out how to change it, you know,
Yeah.
For real.
rather than just being like, oh, like, you know, I'm cool, like, with a
It's
big
fine.
ego. Like,
Yeah.
you really have to nitpick yourself and just, you know, get all of that out of the way.
Yeah.
Just, like, figure it all out.
Yeah, like that meme where the dog's sitting in the fire, the room that's on fire. He's like, it's fine.
Yeah, everything's
I'm
fine.
Yeah, that's how.
Everything's not fine.
Yeah, you talked about introspection, figuring out if it's fine. Have you ever reached outside of yourself to other people to help in those scenarios? Was that your natural reaction or your natural instinct? If not, what would that look like for you?
Yeah, I definitely, like, have talked to people. I'm like, are you the same in this area, or is it just me? And then they definitely, like, give me, like, it's not just you. And that obviously makes you feel a lot better. But
Yeah.
I've had to ask that to many people. Like, am I doing the wrong thing, or did I do this wrong, or just,
Yeah.
I feel like the more you talk to people about it, the better it makes you feel.
Sure.
Otherwise, you're just going to wallow in self-pity.
Yeah, it gives you more confidence to
Yeah.
move
Right.
forward. Like, oh, okay, cool.
Right.
Like, I am doing the right thing. It just doesn't feel fun right now.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. Awesome. Appreciate you sharing. Yeah, it's a very personal business.
It is.
It's very personal business. And the way I put it is, you are the business. So if you suck, the business sucks.
Right.
And so how do we not suck as quick as possible?
Yeah.
And there's always room for improvement.
And I think, like, the big part, or the hardest part about this all in the beginning, is just, like, being yourself and being like, yeah, like, I'm not the greatest, but, like, being transparent with people and honest about yourself, rather than just, like, having this big ego and being like, oh, yeah, like, I'm great, you know. I think that's the hardest part, is just really, like, figuring yourself out, especially as a young person.
Sure,
Because, like,
yeah.
we're still in our 20s. Like, I definitely haven't grown into the person that I'm supposed to be yet.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think the more you're honest with yourself and transparent, I think the better you'll be, honestly.
Absolutely. That's huge.
Stop lying to yourself. That's
Yeah.
a big thing. Stop lying to yourself.
Yeah.
Like, we see, you know, people lie to themselves all the time, and I'm just like, why? Like, that's self-sabotage. Like,
Yeah.
why are you doing that to yourself?
Doesn't help you grow. Feels good in the moment.
Right.
Right.
It does. It's that instant gratification.
Yeah.
But
100%. It all comes back to that. Seems to.
does.
Absolutely. Appreciate you sharing. I look forward to having another one of these in 6 months. It's like,
know.
oh man,
Yeah.
I remember how much I sucked back at that
Right.
first podcast. That was terrible. I love it. That's awesome. Cam, let's talk a little bit about your journey.
Yeah.
We've had some ups and downs. We've had some fun talks, some fun memories, and I love that in the business. It really brings people close together. I feel like it finds a lot of like-minded people in this business, and I love working together with people like you two. I think it attracts a really cool group of people. But speak to us a little bit, because I know you've seen quite a few bits of growth, and I don't think it's necessarily been as much in the self-confidence part of things necessarily. I think you come with some confidence, but you've had other forms of struggle in the business, doubt and frustration. So talk to us a little bit about some hiccups that you've had in the last 4 or 5 months.
For sure. So it honestly goes back to the first lock-in. I don't know if you remember that. And
Won't ever forget.
Yeah, we're down in the basement, and it's even to start out the weekend, we all set a goal of how many families we wanted to help. And me, I didn't even wrote my first. I think I wrote one, maybe one or two, going in that lock-in, and I had a goal of helping 10 families for that weekend. And long story short, I ended up helping 0 families. I didn't help a single one.
And not for lack of trying.
Yeah.
Either.
No,
it's not like you were down there sleeping. I was trying
everything, yeah. And I remember being in the basement down with you. You came down, and it was one of those things I just kind of opened up, and I was almost near tears of not being able to, wasn't sure what I was doing, but really it was all lack of being consistent and thinking I was working when I really wasn't. And, I mean, coming into this, I thought I could do well, of course. Yeah. And it was kind of one of those things, wanting to help so many people at such a early start, like it shut me down so quickly. And it just became very frustrating. And I think for me, it took me to kind of step back. And I think a big problem of that was I was in a lock-in with guys that were months ahead of me. Yeah. So I was comparing myself to all these guys. There's that comparison again, yeah. Exactly. So I was month 1 comparing myself to month 6, month 12, and some guys that are even been there a couple months longer than that. And that was a big struggle for me, because I'm wondering why I'm not producing what they're producing. And in reality, like, I'm just getting started.
Yeah, brand new.
So that was the first thing, and that kind of was really frustrating for me to kind of step back, look, I'm not you. Your book is very different than what my book looks like, and I can't compare myself to you guys. And to be able to kind of see that from an outside perspective is what took me a long time to kind of see. But overall, it's back to doing the work. Like, coming into this, I knew I had to treat it as a business, coming from owning a business. Like, I get to spend money to make money. You got to work to make something out of it. But, like, then again, when it comes down all to yourself, like, it becomes a lot. Yeah. And I think just with my goals and everything, the stuff I want in life, there's a lot of pressure. So I don't know if it's more or less timing for me, where I feel like I have to do it all right now. Yeah. And I know, obviously, these aren't going to happen overnight. So it's kind of something I even struggle with today. Like, my goals that I currently have, like, I want them now, I want them now, I want them now. So I think it's a lot of pressure on me even still. So from day to day, it can be frustrating still to not be able to produce or have a smaller day. Yeah. But I think overall it's back to comparing myself to others.
Absolutely.
It's huge.
Let's unpack a couple things there. First of all, talking about, that when you were brand new, expecting so much out of yourself. And I don't think it was unreasonable or is unreasonable for someone to come into the business expecting themselves to do well. But I think that a lot of times, if you expect results, most of the time, you're going to end up frustrated. Mm-hmm. So obviously you guys are building a business, helping people as they're getting into it, a couple people getting started up even as we speak. What is something where, now looking back, a new agent sitting in, if you could go back and tell yourself at that lock-in, hey, instead of expecting this or doing this, do this. What will you tell new agents? What would you have told yourself in that moment?
I think really it's just everything in this business is a learning moment. So it doesn't matter if you're helping families or you're not. You're always taking something out of the situation. So I got a couple new guys coming on now, and I'm like, look, these first couple months, this is your learning time. You helping families is a bonus. So doesn't matter appointment, you're dialing, you're booking appointments, doesn't matter kind of what you do, as long as you take something out of that each and every day that you can pull from it and be able to improve on, is a huge success. And the sales and the helping families is just kind of a bonus on top of all the learning that you're being able to pick up.
That's huge, yeah. If you expect a lot of activity with a good attitude and make sure you're taking stuff away, you're winning, you're growing. Yeah. The money's going to come. It has to. Right. There's no way it doesn't. It's too simple of a business.
Right.
Absolutely. And then another thing that I wanted to speak towards, because I think this is something you can, especially given what you're going through, and even recently, you made a comment just a bit ago, and now I'm going to call you out on it. because I have to. You said coming from being a business owner, you're no stranger to reinvesting in the business. But I've also had several conversations with you in the past couple months. So speak to some people, speak to yourselves, speak to some people about what kind of doubts can creep in that handicap your business and put, this big ankle weight on your business. How does that creep in, and how do you get rid of it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's going back to being consistent. If that's consistently buying leads or consistently working hard, dialing the phones, booking your appointments. For me, I say I know how to spend money to make money, but it's back to the lead thing. Coming into this, I kind of had the whole, I want to be able to reinvent something, make it easier for myself, or find a better way. And obviously it's taken 3 months to kind of realize, like, hey, like, this road's already paved, follow these steps and you're gonna have success. And hearing you every week after week after week on a weekly call with you, like, it was kind of one of those things, like, I didn't dislike having them. It was kind of like one of those things because I knew exactly what you were going to say.
You could have had the call on yourself
like,
as two people.
I come out of it, and she's sitting in the living room, and she's like, so how'd that go? Like, same thing as last week. Buy more leads. So it's one of those things, like, it's not like I didn't listen, but I was still trying to, like, figure out my own thing if I could do it a different way or make it easier on myself. In reality, no. That's going to take much longer. Maybe. There may be a way, but, like, following something that's already here in front of you to just continue to follow that path is huge.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I feel like we're pioneers, right? And there's a nice road that's very obvious, and you're over here in the forest chopping down trees, grinding stumps, making this new path because that's what you did, though. I think that's I don't think it was, I think a lot of things in life come back to pride in some way, shape, or form, right?
For sure.
And I've struggled with that so much, but also it's just like habit. You're like, well, it can't be that simple because I just ran this business and it was this and this and this and this and this in that business. So how can I come over here and make more money, expect it to be more simple? And that's one of the unique things that's so cool about our business. It's not complicated. You don't need 42 staff to show up on time. You don't have to have this client and this order line up on the right day at the right time with the right weather, and then have this guy not be drunk that day to show up for work to do the job. It's simple.
It's too simple, man.
It's too simple. And so many people can't stand that fact. And I've been there so many times. We were just talking to our managers about this on a manager call. This is such a simple business. And it's so many times, it never goes away. You always want it to be more complicated at every stage in this thing. Is it really that simple? You get a bunch of leads and you call them, and then you go to work and you get your face beat in, and then you learn, and then eventually you make a sale, and then you start making more and more, and you just keep going, and it works. But it is.
It really is.
It really
and I think I remember talking to you and Mike about it. It's like, it's this simple. And it's like overcomplicating it. And like I believe Mike said, like, if you want a bigger fire, you put more wood on it.
Yeah.
Like, it's that simple. You want to keep growing your business, you keep stacking it the way you want it to be. And it's just ridiculous.
It's that simple.
That's
It's that simple.
It's that simple. Love it. It's just hard work. And the more we try to overcomplicate, out-efficient it, rework it, the more time we waste, and we could have been that much farther down the path.
Right.
I'm excited that you guys are learning that lesson so early in the business. Because I know for me, how many months and really probably years cumulatively I've spent trying to out-efficient or overcomplicate it, and how freeing it feels when it's just like, nope, just go to work. It's such a freeing feeling when you wake up, nope, just gotta go dial. Yep. That's fine. I'll probably get yelled at. That's okay.
Right.
This is fine. Just keep going. And it works. And it keeps growing. And when you feel like I'm not getting anywhere, you look back and you're like, oh, wow, I'm way farther down the path than I thought I was. Cool. And it's never going to go as fast as you want it. But if you keep going to work, you'll always be making progress in this business. And you never have to take big steps back.
I mean, we're only a couple months in, and I feel like we can look back and be like, oh, like, remember when we first started?
So
like,
cute.
We were like, what was an eagle, or what was a CBO?
Yeah.
It's funny to see the growth.
It is, yeah.
Already.
100%. I joke with people, but it's not really a joke because I believe it. I would pass a polygraph. A month here is a year in the real world. So when you say you've been here 5 months, no, you've been here 5 years.
Right.
Look at the calendar, it's been 5 months.
Right.
But growth-wise, development-wise, business-wise, as it pertains to relationships and people that you've gotten to know and trust and work with, it's been 5 years. And that's one of the crazy things about our business. Point back to the name of the team with Inception, like it's just that time doesn't make sense.
Right.
But that's how it goes, and that's the crazy part about this business, because most people in orthodontics, they'll be making good money, and their kids are in high school.
Right.
And they're always at work.
Right.
And every once in a while they get to be a part of the kids' activity. And they've got a nice house. They're never in it, but they've got the nice house. And they can send their kids to school. Then they won't see them there, right? Or in landscaping, it's like you were talking about with those two guys that are in their 40s now, having started out of high school. You're like, man, I don't want to be there. And that's one of the secrets that this business allows us to unlock, is you can grow so fast, accomplish so much, make so much money, learn so many lessons in life and in business that you're able to get decades ahead mentally and in business while still being young. How old are you guys?
21.
20.
It's crazy.
I know.
It's crazy.
I
I'm
feel like I'm
27
26.
and I feel like I'm a grandpa.
Right.
Like, they're there, kids. You'll get there.
Right.
Back in my day when we were in person, I was driving in my car.
I know, right?
Taking the horse and buggy to the client's house.
That's funny.
Oh, man. But it's an incredible business. Love being in business with you guys. Please don't be strangers. Please continue reaching out like you talked about. Everything might be fine,
Right.
but let's double check that. Let's see if maybe there's some improvement to be had. And maybe the business is progressing, but how can it progress more?
Absolutely.
Love it. I'll ask you guys both to speak to something, and we'll wrap up here. Halee, if you can kind of speak to, I know you guys are looking to build a business here. If you can kind of speak to people you guys have several people that are just a part of the team or up and coming, right? And we can name several names and faces, but speak to them. What do you wish that they would know and they would implement that maybe you didn't when you were at their stage of the game?
Definitely reaching out. That one kind of got me. I hadn't been reaching out at all, and, it definitely bit me in the butt a little bit, I would say, and I'm trying a lot better now, I will say.
There you go.
Trying to focus on one person, though, just so that I'm not spreading myself too thin, but obviously continue to reach out to different people. I would say a big thing is just trust the process, and you're going to get told no, probably more than you're going to get told yes, but I literally have to tell myself every single day. After every no, I just tell myself, you're one step closer to a yes.
Yeah.
And I still sometimes get a little bit nervous that people are going to yell at me or, but there's families out there that do need help. And you're never going to meet these people. Just continue. I know one of the people in my downlines right now, she's a little nervous, but, I think the more people you talk to, the more you learn, the quicker you're going to get it.
That's the importance of reaching out.
Right.
Because like you were talking about, you feel like you're alone, but if you reach out, because people aren't going to call you.
Right.
We don't have an insurance agent suicide hotline. Maybe we should. Right? Like, hey, I'm thinking about quitting.
Right.
What do I do, right?
Yeah.
We kind of have that. But you still have to call it.
Right. And I think the worst thing you can do for yourself is not reach out to the point where you feel like you're on an island.
Yeah.
Like everyone says, don't put yourself on an island. That's so true. Because, when you don't have people to talk to about your appointments or about bad moments you had or good moments you had, it can be very isolating. Thankfully, I have him, but obviously you need to reach out more than that.
Yeah.
But I
Love
would
it.
say, yeah.
That's huge. That's huge. And then, Cam, I'm going to have you speak to someone as well. You guys are looking to build this thing way beyond what it is now. I won't ask for a team name yet, but next time I will. Okay. So let's see it. Oh, do we have one? Do we have one? All right. Let's keep it under wraps. You can tell me when we stop recording. Let's keep it close to the chest for now. I like it. I look forward to exploring that when you guys unlock it officially. But I want you to speak to the people that you want to work with, right? Because every team kind of has a unique culture, right? But speak to the people. Who are you looking for? What has this done for you? And who are you hoping to be in business with that can join the team and pursue their own goals, learn from you guys. You guys are very relatable, extremely enjoyable to work with. Someone would be crazy not to want to work with you in this business. So speak to them. What, except for you, right? She's like, no, I know the real game. But if you could speak to the person that you'd like to work with and what they're looking for.
Yeah, really. I mean, it's really just people that want it. It's like it's as simple as it gets, but it's like you gotta want it. And if you don't want it and you don't want to go out and help people, because this is a people helping business, right? Mm-hmm. So it's kind of one of those things, like every morning I wake up and it's like, who am I going to help today? And if I'm not going to help you, you're going to move out of my way and you're going to allow me to get to the people that need helped. Yep. And so it's back to the people that I want to be able to join me and be able to walk beside me are the people that are really here to have similar goals of me or similar goals of what we want to make of ourselves, really. Yep. So it's like being able to push yourself forward, being able to take that criticism. So for me, that was a hard thing. Getting criticism was a very hard thing for me. Yeah. So I think it's guys that are able to, guys or gals, whoever, that just want to continue to push themselves forward and being able to help people along the way and have crazy goals that you want to continue to just blow out of the water is really huge.
Because this is where you can do that.
Seriously.
This is where you can do it. There's other places where you can achieve all kinds of goals that are great avenues.
Yeah.
But if you want to shorten that timeline, I don't know of anywhere better than this. It's awesome, guys. Appreciate you being on.
Thank
you. And maybe next time it won't be a surprise, right, Haley?
Right?
But I'm glad
maybe
you guys.
I'll have like better looking hair.
Hey, you nailed it. But appreciate you guys being on and for making the trip out here. Really excited for the growth throughout the rest of 2023. I think it's going to be insane. Let's get to it. I'm excited to work with you guys.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Good.
That's a wrap.